Thank you and welcome everyone. We're going to call this meeting May 15th, meeting of the Charter Revision Commission to order at 6:37. The roll call so far is Tyler Fairburn, John Levin in person, Ed Camacho and Carl Dickens online. So we are one short of a quorum, but we anticipate two more members joining us shortly. So we will bypass the minutes at this time. We'll do that when we have enough to vote on it. And we can do the, I see Joe there as an attendee. Can we, Janciano, can we move Joe onto the panel? We'll do the public participation. Should we have Joe? All right, I see Joe on the participant list. We just,
Okay. There she is.
Hey, good to see you, Joe. All right, so we will do public participation. We have nobody here with us in the chambers, but we have a couple folks online. Diane Lorcello, first up. Diane, do we have you with us?
Mike's not muted, so I don't know.
Yeah, I see you on. Yeah, you look like you're not muted, Diane. We see you there, but we can't hear you.
She's muted.
Muted now. Diane, you're unmuted. I'm not. We can't quite hear you. I'm not sure. Well, we'll try. We'll try again. If any of the other members in the attendee list would like to participate in the public speaking portion, could you raise your Zoom hand and we'll get you in here? Okay, so it's just Diane. We can't hear her at the moment. I'm not sure if that's on our end or yours, Diane. But if you want to stick around, we will try to get you in here at some point if we can figure that out. Okay, so we'll move to the action items. Again, Diane, we're not forgetting about you. We just got to fix the audio issues. Our action items for this evening. We can go down the list, Steve, if that makes sense. We're starting with the operating budget definition. These are I think the items we had on here were things that we had not voted on at the last meeting. We were going to do a little more work and then try to do it tonight.
So the first item is in the definition section. The CFO provided us with a definition, a uniform definition for operating budget, which is on page 13 of the red line that I sent out. And it's a pretty good consolidated definition. I don't know if you want to go into the details of it, but we had two definitions, actually technically a third one, and we've consolidated them all into this one definition in the definition section. Should we vote individually on these, or do you want to take them all together, Tyler?
Stephen, is it a big problem for you to share the documents like you've been doing?
Try.
Can you share the document on screen?
I'm going to try to get to it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Is it up?
I see you.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get on my screen and try to control it.
There you go.
You see me moving? Okay, good. Good,
Yep.
good. So we're in business here. Here it is. It's the section with the red lines.
Sorry, Steve, when was that sent? I'm just trying to find it on my end.
It should be attached to the agenda packet.
It's on the agenda package, and I
Okay,
Yes, I sent, yeah,
agenda.
it's on the agenda package, and I don't have the pagination for that,
Oh.
but it's page 13 of the document.
I think it's page 19 of the PDF that was on the website and the agenda.
So it's basically the budget that's adopted annually in the manner set forth in the charter. It incorporates detailed estimates of revenues and operating expenses. And it's a, you know, it's a pretty standard definition of an operating budget.
Anyway, I don't have any questions or issues with that. Does anybody else?
Nope.
Nope, I don't.
Do you want me to move on, or do you want to take action on it, or do you want to take action all together one time?
Why don't we do them one by one, just in case there's any issues? So, we are voting right now to approve action item A, the operating budget definition that has been updated and made part of the materials for this evening. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I must abstain. I can't find it.
Did you go on the agenda packet for this evening?
I looked at an earlier agenda packet and I could not.
It's attached. and
Okay.
It's up on the screen as well. Steve's sharing his screen.
All right.
Take a look at that, John, and then let us know if you have any,
Could you, maybe it might be easier. It doesn't seem like it's a lot to read in total.
I agree with Ed.
Could we just read it and then vote on it as
Sure.
read?
All right, I thought I just read it, but I'll read it again.
Okay.
The operating budget means the budget, the component of the budget of the city adopted annually in the manner set forth in this charter, which incorporates detailed estimates of revenues and operating expenses, including but not limited to costs related to operating personnel, maintenance, utility, debt service, technology, and all expected revenues as required by this charter and any related ordinances. The operating budget is funded through property taxes, intergovernmental revenues, licenses, fees, charges for services, fines, interest, and other sources of revenue.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so that's, John, are you?
I no longer wish to abstain. I wish to vote. I wish to vote
Okay.
in favor of
So
some.
the operating budget, is passed unanimously by the five of us who are here.
Do you want me to stop at constables or just deal with my drafting changes? I mean,
For,
the next thing would be the 4-year term, but I assume you want to hold that till the end?
yeah, I'm just looking at it in the order that we have it on the agenda. So the next
So what's
piece was, next piece was the sheriff's constable.
Is the constables, okay.
Yeah,
Section 6-3. Well, I don't have any changes. It's an issue whether or not we want to keep it or not keep it in the charter.
yeah, so I mean, this was something that we've discussed, specific to the constables. This is something we've discussed. During the last charter revision, and then it's come up a few times, this pass at it. Rick has emailed us, you know, he's probably not gonna be able to join us with his support for leaving constables as is. I had a phone conversation with Steve Kleppen from Planning and Zoning, I don't know, last week or earlier this week. He informed me that Planning and Zoning supports keeping the constables, that they use them several times per week for notices and enforcement, and that they are cheaper and more reliable than other options.
Okay.
I have no issues leaving constables as it is.
And what about sheriff?
Wait, let's go back to, let's stay on constables for a second. I understand now. I understand what constables do. I'm just wondering why is this even an elected position?
Well,
I mean, there's no, there's no policy, making authority. There's no, there's no interaction with the community. There's no role. It's a job. It's like, yeah, this is just a job.
But no one pays them except the people, except as they're used. It's like a justice of the peace.
Yeah,
they're not city employees.
they're not
Yeah.
hired as an employee.
Right.
So if,
We don't elect, do we elect justices of the peace?
Yes,
we do elect them, yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Each party has, and as well as the unaffiliated have a X number of slots that they can fill.
But those names don't appear on the ballot.
No, those are specifically
Parties.
elected by the Democratic Town Committee, the Republican Town Committee, and I think the unaffiliated have another process that they go through the clerk's office with.
So not quite an elected position. Again, I struggle to understand why this is an elected position in Norwalk, other than the fact that that's the way it's always been. It seems that the towns that are able to get to it, recognize that constable is a needed role, but realize that you can just simply appoint the people that wish to do it.
Yeah, but
Bethany,
I would only
what's the
say, John,
difference?
that if it's a needed role, then it should be a needed role for the electorate and not another appointed position. We already have a lot of those.
it's not a question of how, there's no right number of appointed positions. So I don't think that we decide to elect people because we have too many appointed positions.
Why
I
not?
struggle. I would like to understand why this is an elected role.
May I ask you a question, John?
Sure.
What, I mean, there's the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What's broken about this in your view?
Good question. I think, electing people for a job.
It's not a job, it's a role.
Okay, electing people for a role does not necessarily guarantee that you are getting the best people. I think that the electors are poorly positioned to actually decide who they should be voting on for these roles, in part because I suspect the vast majority of electors really have no clue what a constable does. In fact, I didn't know what a constable did before I came onto this commission. And I think that's the norm. Again, there are many roles in the city, but they're only the elected positions, I feel like, should be ones where there's actually, some responsibility and authority and, policymaking or something.
Well, you've raised the issue of the electorate doesn't know what they're voting on and whether or not these people are competent to be constables. Has there been an instance where over the years a constable has been a problem?
Really good question. I have absolutely no clue at all. There's no public face to the constables that serve the city. There's no report that says, this is what the constables have been doing. These are the tickets, they issued or the summonses they served. But I do know that other cities have moved away from electing constables. Bethany got rid of elected constables in 1994, and have them appointed instead, either by the legislative body or the mayor or both. Killingworth got rid of them in 1977. Ridgefield, Newtown, and Bethel all have appointed constables. Essex has appointed constables. It appears that the cities that have elected constables that have moved to be appointed haven't determined that change was a mistake, and they really needed elected constables instead. I think,
But they
creates-
determined that having elected constables was a mistake?
Why, why would they be making the change otherwise?
No, but I'm just asking, was that a determination that was made in those instances?
Well, let's put it this way, none have gone from elected to appointed, and then gone back.
Yeah, but Ed makes a good question there. Why, if they were elected before and now appointed, why did they stop being elected?
Yeah, for the same reason that we don't, elect the, animal protection officer who probably has much more public facing of a role, in the city. There's lots and lots of roles that have.
Is that not a paid position though?
That's a paid position, isn't it? A
You're talking
job?
about paid positions. This
Yes.
is unique in that it is not that.
So again, I'm asking why is this elected? Other than that's the way it's always been.
What reason do we have to make it not elected and appointed? I think Joe mentioned in her email, and I think it's a fair point. I think far more people have an issue with appointed people by the mayor than they do with the elected constables.
So there's many solutions to that. Constables don't have to necessarily be appointed by the mayor. They could be appointed by the legislative body instead, just like this commission was appointed by the legislative body and not the mayor. So, the appointment shouldn't be a problem. I mean, if you're concerned about the mayor having too much authority for appointing commissions,
I don't know that we've heard between this commission and the last, I don't know that we heard from a single person who took issue with constables being elected and wanted to see them appointed or something else. So why are we even bothering? with
It
that?
never
It's
came up.
interesting. It's interesting, John, that you favor referenda because that more people are involved. In this instance, you favor a smaller number of people making the decision than.
They're completely unrelated.
Well, but the process-
that's not a fair comparison at
But the
all.
process is the same. You're asking for, in this instance, to take it away from a vote of the people and to give it to a vote, to give it to the people's elected representatives.
Yes.
And in the other instance, you're saying that the people should take it away from the elected representatives in certain cases.
If they're, what? You're talking about the referendum now? I thought we were
It's the
talking about
concept,
constables.
right? You wanted the referendum changed so that it is easier for the voters to have a voice. In this instance, you want to have the voters not have a voice on this particular position.
Yeah, on constables? Absolutely, yeah.
Because
Definitely.
constables are so critical that the people can't be trusted to make that choice.
What is the reason? We haven't heard, again, John, we have not heard from a single person.
Again,
To my knowledge, there's not
Right,
been an
so
issue with any constable.
just
So
understand.
why are we doing this?
again, my question is, why is this an elected position? Other than the fact that that's the way it's always been. Why
All right,
is this?
we're going around in circles. Should we just take a
No,
vote on this?
But
Yes.
that's the question that has remained unanswered. No one's been able to say.
You
who's
haven't been
supposed
able to answer
elected.
our questions either, but we're going around in
That's
circles.
not true.
So let's
It is a
take vote on
unique
this, yeah.
position that serves the city while not being a city job. Right? These are people who are not employees of the city. They don't get regular salaries from the city. They only get paid by the city if they do city work. What I am going to recommend is that we take a vote on whether we leave constables or not. There is no point going around in any more circles on this issue. So we are going to vote on, I suppose we should incorporate the sheriff part of it too. The sheriff is a little trickier. Rick was under the impression that we set this as a sunset position when we did this the last time. Steve does not recall that. I do not recall that. Carl?
Vaguely, I remember us doing that, but I don't have anything in front of me that,
There's nothing in the charter. That's where it would be, and it's not. there.
yeah.
Right.
I think we talked about it.
We
because,
talked about it.
There were special circumstances around it that doesn't need to be gone into, but it ended up being just the way it is.
Yeah, I don't have a problem leaving that either. It's not, I mean, if something is not an issue, I don't know that we need to
Make it
vote,
one.
make it one. Thank you. So we're gonna vote on action item 5B, which is whether or not to change how sheriffs and constables are dealt with in the existing charter. Is it something that needs to be revised? So I will make a motion to leave sheriff and constable as it is and make no changes. Are all in favor of leaving sheriffs and constables as is? Sorry, I can't see anyone here. Carl's a yes, Ed is a yes. I am a yes. People who want to change sheriff and constables and who agree that we, or disagree and think that we need to revisit that item. So you're a no. Anyone a no? John, abstentions on sheriffs and constables.
I feel like we don't need the sheriff, but we do need the constable. So I'm splitting my vote.
Okay, so why don't we'll break it out. We'll break it, so we'll break it out as constable, okay? So constable only. My motion is to leave constables as is. All in favor of constables? Okay, those not in favor of constables being in the charter as is. Abstentions?
I abstain.
Johnston. Okay, constables is 4-1. Sheriff. I will make a motion to leave sheriff as is in the charter.
Does anybody know who the sheriff is?
It's Bobby
Pardon?
Burgess.
Does anybody know who the sheriff is currently?
It's Bobby Burgess, I believe.
And is that jurisdiction the county or the city, or what's the jurisdiction of
I
a
think
sheriff's
it's the
office?
same as constables. I think it's local. It's just this, it's the
Or
municipality.
the city?
Yeah,
Okay, and so the sheriff has no staff, deputies, yada, yada.
right.
Okay,
All right, so those in favor of leaving sheriffs as is? Those in favor of, who are not in favor of having sheriffs and removing it from the charter? Okay. Sheriffs are to be removed.
What was
I'm
the
sorry.
vote on that?
Who was the other yes on sheriff? It was me and Carl?
no, I voted leave it the way it is.
That's, okay, so Carl and I were gonna leave it. The other three are remove sheriff. All right, so that will be our recommendation to the common council, that sheriffs are removed from the charter. Ed, Joe, and Joe. Okay,
I mean, unless between now and the next meeting, someone can tell me what the sheriff does. I know what the constable does and that they're using with regularity, but I just don't know what the sheriff does.
yeah, fair enough,
Or if the sheriff is used at all by anyone at this point.
fair enough. Okay, so the next one, next item is 5C on the agenda. This is library director. This was, is this the one that is it 8.3M or something like that, Steve? I'm sorry, I don't remember the section off the top of my head.
Yeah, oh, yeah, let me pull it up on the screen. I'm going through my book
Okay.
here. I'm sorry.
It was at the end of the department head list.
Well, Steven's scrolling. Ed, you may know this. Does the sheriff get paid?
No,
I didn't think so.
no. There is a position of a treasurer for the city, I believe. They get paid.
Right?
I have no idea what the treasurer
Didn't
does.
we take the treasurer out of the chart?
Oh, is that right?
I thought the last time.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not.
Oh, well, that would be-
Treasurer was removed at the last charter revision commission.
Okay, great.
Doug has joined us here in person.
And still nobody knows what the treasurer does.
All right, so
Once a year.
the
It's me.
library director, this is,
8-2 A3M.
8.3M. So we discussed this, we haven't voted on it. This was the comment we got. We've got a couple comments from Moyna, from the library board, about codifying the existing process whereby the library director is selected by the mayor in consultation with the library board. I have no issue with that. Steve, I guess it's probably a one, I mean, would we need to move it out of, we need to move item M from the charter and give it its own section?
Well, what we would do is we would make it section 4, so it's appointed by the mayor following consultation with the library board. And number 4 would be number 5. We would just add, right in this section here, we would move it down to its own section because it's different. Right now, it's in a category called appointed by mayor and confirmed by the council. Now it would be appointed by mayor, following consultation with library board and approved by council. So it's a separate category.
Who appoints the library board?
Mayor,
Mayor,
With the consent of the council, right?
with the consent.
with the
of council.
consent of the council.
Doesn't
And
the,
they're
doesn't the
asking
taxing
for-
district get a couple people on the library board?
Yes,
I thought they got like the 2.
the taxing districts that have their own libraries like East Norwalk and Rowayton.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
The
Yeah.
library, so I think what we, right, so what we would do, we would remove M, we would move 3M. And it would become,
4,
it would become 4 and then 4 would become 5.
correct, right here, yeah.
So it would, so 4 would be bumped to 5. And the
Correct.
language on 4 would be that the
Appointed
mayor.
by mayor following consultation, and by the library board, whatever, we'll get the right title in there, and approval by the council.
Yeah,
So I don't want to waste a ton of time on this, but I just have a question that I haven't understood from the beginning of this. What's the real reason they want to make this change?
I don't know if there's anything other than what they've stated, which is that the current charter doesn't spell that out, right? So the current charter just says that the library director is appointed by the mayor. As I understand it, there have been no issues with the mayor consulting with the library board to choose the director, but they would like to see that formally in the charter, and I don't have any issue with that.
Yeah, you know, I saw the language that she circulated, that Moyna circulated from New Haven or some other city, where the basically the library board you know, appoints or selects or chooses the librarian subject to approval by the mayor. You know, I guess that's what she was saying all along, that was the preferred method. I mean, my concern now is that, you know, we currently have a mayor who, you know, we can trust to, you know, respect, you know, we can, you know, respect freedom of speech, I guess. But in light of what's happening nationally, I'm not entirely convinced that that's going to continue, or that it's not, that any new mayor might not have a different view. So, but in either event, it seems to me that if the library board is the one doing the selecting and it's subject to approval by the mayor, you're still stuck in the same situation where the mayor has to approve it anyway, perhaps subject to common council approval as well. So it's a bit of a standoff. Or at least that situation would be a bit of a standoff. What's being suggested now is in consultation with the library board, but it's unclear what that even means, or if that means anything at all.
Yeah, I mean, and that was my concern when this first came to us was, okay, we're gonna change the charter to say in consultation with the library board. But if the mayor appoints the library board, right, it's the same effect. It's the library, if you have a mayor who's hell-bent on putting somebody in there who's, you know, perhaps not dedicated to library sciences or freedom of speech or whatever, the mayor would just clean out the library board, install people who will then recommend the person they want. And then I guess the council is the last check on that. If we have, right, if we're saying that the person is appointed by the mayor in consultation with the library board, subject to council approval.
Yeah, I mean, I think that last
line
check
of defense,
last
if you-
check would be important. But I don't know that the mayor can, at present, appoint an entirely new board. I think there are like, isn't it staggered? And so.
Yes, they're staggered. I mean, I'm sorry.
No,
Other
please.
subject.
Please.
I don't blame the other peers. It's not because of party stuff. It's just that we've been in since 1913. There have been plenty on both sides, and it hasn't happened because the times are staggered. So nobody's got complete control of that. And the language they're proposing, I guess that what I said before, we're fixing something that's not broke. But we're trying to fix something. So the word consultation, and I'm gonna ask Steve for interpretation, all right, means that he can consult with them. And then he can put in whoever he wants to, right?
Yeah.
Right, so.
Yep.
I'm just saying, I guess we're codifying and making a permanence a way of doing this versus the way it's done in the past and putting it part of the charter, but. The way it's proposed, it's fine if they want to put that in there, but.
I would propose that we add, subject to approval by the Common Council.
Well,
Yeah,
that's inherent. That's already in there.
Oh, that's in there.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
then that's
it's in
fine.
there.
Then that's fine.
All right, does anybody object to that language being added or that change for library director?
Consultation and confirmation by the council.
So consultation with the mayor and approved by council?
Correct.
Well, it's confirmation. The term we've been using is confirmation by the council.
I mean, I think that's what the folks in the library that we heard from asked for, so I'm fine with it.
Yep.
I did, yeah, I mean, I just don't understand. My antenna quiver that there's another reason than we really know.
Well, the reason that they're concerned about it is, I think they were concerned about this last time. I think that they came before the Common Council a couple of years ago with that same concern. I think they were talking about a possible ordinance change or something, but they've been concerned about this for a while because they want to have more of a role statutorily than they seem to have at present.
Well, the former chair of this commission prior, who's very involved with the library, didn't seem to have a problem with the language that's in there. That's all I'm saying.
So around the state, this is an issue that's come up. Library boards feel that they're kind of rarefied entities. There is a statute on the creation of library boards, but those statutes really apply to non-charter towns. Sometimes you can use the language in a charter town, but there they have very strong controls over the department head. So this debate does come up from time to time in different communities. Keep in mind, the library board is not established in the charter. It's mandated by the charter, so it's an ordinance. And so two things I would say. One is you can always modify the ordinance in terms of the composition of the board. And number two, if consultation becomes a interpretive issue, the council could always adopt an ordinance to define what consultation means.
Yeah, and I think that was in the initial email we got on this, two of the three items we were asked to address were ordinance issues. So I think we make this change, it perfectly reasonable, if not innocuous. And then if there's, finer details that need to be addressed, it can be done through ordinance. So is there a motion to accept the language to update Section 8 regarding the library director?
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed?
No,
Any abstentions? Carl, you're opposed?
yes,
Okay, Doug? Sorry.
Well, I am gonna ask one question under 7.3. Do we need to modify that now and strike that out?
What's that?
You do one, you gotta do another.
What's 7.3?
7.3 says the common council shall adopt an ordinance, and it lists them, and that lists the library board. So if you're changing the methodology,
No, we're not changing
We're not changing the
methodology.
methodology.
That doesn't
Yeah.
need
Not at all.
It's still appointed by the mayor. It's just we're adding the in consultation with the library board. And then the mayor's selection has to be confirmed by the council, which I believe is how it works now. So the only thing we're changing is we're adding in consultation with the library. So the yeses, I'm sorry, the yeses, Tyler, Ed, Who else was a yes on that?
John.
John and Joe? Okay, any no's?
Was me.
Carl and Doug? And so there's no abstentions, that should be. Okay. Next item, so the last item is mayoral term length.
Oh, no.
No.
Didn't we have the issue of sidewalks? Do you remember somebody wanted to? Or you want to do the mayoral term, but there was, somebody had asked about the definition of sidewalks in 8 dash.
Oh, that was
To
Carl.
deal with 8-4.
Yeah, that was me.
E, under tax collector, and it's defined in the ordinances as a walkway built to provide safe pedestrian travel along public thoroughfares that are constructed in accordance with the Complete Streets Design Guide. So that's the definition in the body of law called your ordinances. I don't know what you want to do with it. The issue was approving this section that was being moved from 14-5 into 8-4E2. So Carl, you satisfied with that definition?
I suppose, I mean, I still, my issue is that if we go to sidewalks or call it that, and that's good to know the definition, is the homeowners being assessed to pay for the sidewalks that's in front of their property. Currently, we have trails, at least here on East Rocks Road. They're not sidewalks, that they're designated as a trail. So would those designations of trail, would trail go away and everything be sidewalks?
I don't know the answer. I mean, there's a definition of sidewalks. I don't know if there's a definition of trail.
Yeah,
Sounds like it's within the concept of a walkway. A trail is probably a walkway.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna resolve that. in a
Description
charter
wise,
revision.
definition wise, you're probably right, but when you look at them, they're not.
No, I get that, but I don't think we're gonna resolve that in the charter revision debate.
Okay,
I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't have a vote, so.
so would you be kind enough to just read what the definition is again of a sidewalk?
Yeah, it's in the version of the charter. I put it in the sidebar. It's 116, but I'll read it. It's ordinance 95-1, sidewalk is a walkway built to provide safe pedestrian travel along public thoroughfares that are constructed in accordance with the Complete Streets Design Guide.
Okay,
Okay, sorry, Tyler, but that was just one
Yeah,
little
that's-
outstanding.
That's fine. Do we need to do anything with that? We're okay?
If we can simply just approve the section transfer, that's all.
Okay. I'm sorry, do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, the transfer of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember, as we were moving it from, let's see, 442, we were moving it from 14-4 N and O into 1 and 2. It's both 8-5 E 1 and 2 are the new sections. They were moved from sections 14-5 N and O. So I just want to have approval of that transfer.
Okay, so we are voting on, we're voting to approve the transfer of that language into 8-5 E 1 and 2. All in favor?
all right,
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Yeah, now you go to the 4-year term.
Now we have the fourth term. So this was a holdover from the last Charter Revision Commission. We'd heard we'd heard a bit about this early in the process when we were down in the community room. We heard from some of our elected officials. Given that we are not unless called by the council, convening another Charter Revision Commission for 10 years. This is now the time to discuss this and and, vote on whether or not we want to suggest this to the common council. I think one of the reasons that we have kind of avoided this during the last Charter Revision Commission was because we had done so much work on revising and updating, just a massive overhaul of the charter. The concern was that if we had anything that was deemed to be kind of overtly political or controversial, that it would tank the whole effort. Rick, I think, had some historical knowledge there that was an issue in 2016. So we were trying to avoid that, but obviously there are different circumstances this time around. I know some of the opposition when we had discussed it last time was that it was the opponents said that it was a power grab by the incumbent mayor who wanted to extend his term of service, and we're in the unique position now that we will not have an incumbent mayor running in the 2025 election. It will be a clean slate. I think what I would recommend, what Rick mentioned in his email to us, would be that if we are going to do this, and I will express my support for having a 4-year term for mayor. It is I think it's a way to professionalize the position, and it encourages I think it helps with your ability to hire people who may be relocating, who are reluctant to do so for what is a very brief 2-year window. You have a little more time to actually achieve things rather than getting into office, getting sworn in, learning what you're doing, and then starting to campaign again. I think it is a unique opportunity to do that now. And what I would recommend would be that this is something that we are in favor of, and we are going to recommend to the council that it would be in the 2029 election. So you would have an election in 25 for a 2-year term. You would have an election in 27 for a 2-year term. The election in 2029 would be the first year where you would have a mayor who's serving a 4-year term. Any discussion on the 4-year term issue?
So is this just for the mayoral or for
This is
council
just
as well?
It would just be for the mayor.
Because it says elected city and town officers.
Where is this?
If I'm reading.
On the
right,
screen,
Chairman Watt.
but no, we would create a new category. Like, for example, if you go down, Carl, what the mayor would probably be in this category, be the Board of Education, and the mayor would be in category 4-year term category. So
my thinking about this is the following. That I know that we could just do a 4-year term for mayor, but then that calls into question they're going to be off-year elections, and who's going to come out to vote, and it's just, and then the Board of Ed also is going to be fall on an off year every now and then. It's what type of impact is that going to have on the composition of the Board of Ed or the quality of members on the Board of Ed? It seems to me that this is an important enough issue that it should be a standalone commission. The Common Council is free to convene.
Standalone commission.
Is free to convene a commission whenever it wishes, maybe in 2 years, maybe in 5 years or 4 years, to visit the issue of a 4-year term for the Common Council, albeit staggered, or maybe 4 years for at large and 2 years for in district, and a 4-year term for the mayor. That should be the only thing considered in that commission, in that charter revision commission, because it's important enough that it really, I think, should be considered, and only considered, and that be the only issue that's considered. But also because we've done such good work, I think, so far in this commission with respect to everything else, that once again, every time this issue comes up in the context of a charter revision that includes other revisions to the charter, there's always the potential for it being a poison pill
Yeah,
and sort of defeating or undermining the work that we've done with respect to the balance of the charter. And that's the other reason why I think it should be a standalone issue. Because it should, if it's going to be approved or if it's going to fail, it shouldn't take anything else with it. And so for that reason, I'm in favor of not considering it this time and recommending to the Common Council that they consider appointing a commission to address the issue of a 4-year term for the mayor and any other elected official as its own commission.
very reasonable. John, your hand up?
Yeah, so, Ed, you should just be aware that, what you're suggesting is that there be another charter revision commission, in less than 10 years.
Yeah.
To consider, terms for, mayor and council. However, I will tell you, and I know Steve can tell you as well, under state law, a charter revision commission can consider anything else that they want to, in addition to what they have been charged with by the appointing authority, which of course is the legislative body.
Mhm.
So having a single purpose charter revision commission just simply is not a thing under state law. So be aware of that. But I think you
I'm aware of that.
you make a valid point that this might, I'm not very good at this, but this could be a hot button issue that might become divisive and self-defeating. So Steve, as I understand it, charter referendums can be divided into multiple pieces. It doesn't have to be a single recommendation for charter changes, but you can actually put some parts of the charter change into one referendum question and other parts into another referendum question. Is that correct?
You can have multiple questions in a charter.
Yeah.
revision.
So, Ed, I think, to address the concern that you've described, wouldn't it be reasonable just simply to put the 4-year term into a separate referendum question?
Yes, if that was the only concern, but the other concern is that what ramifications is having an off-year election every other 2 years, or basically in between the 4 each mayoral term, to have an off-year election for both Common Council and presumably also for the Board of Ed. The voter turnout is going to be an issue. What type of impact is that going to have? Should we also have 4-year terms for at least the at-large members of the Common Council, perhaps not for the in-district, and how's that going to look? And how best to organize that so that we don't have huge voter turnout in some years and very low turnout in other years. So I think there's a lot to consider. If we are going to have that discussion now and at the next meetings that we have, then that's great. But it seems to me that it's not just simply voting for a 4-year mayoral term. Because of all the other ramifications, specifically with respect to voter turnout.
Doug, please.
Okay. Well, they knew when they put me on there, I'm not in favor of 4-year term for mayor. Actually, with some of the discussions we had concerning
Who is
dictators maybe
speaking?
running.
I'm sorry. Who is speaking?
It's
Doug Hempstead.
Okay,
Sorry,
thank you. Sorry.
some of the discussions, how a dictator may take over and eliminate the libraries or ban books and all that stuff, then I would certainly want more accountability. As 2 years, right, versus waiting 4 years to eliminate a person like that. So I've never been in favor of 4 years. I like accountability public. I like being able to the mayor to be accountable public and the council public every 2 years. Having served, running every 2 years. you just do it. If you're really interested in it, you just do it. I agree with Ed that, on one case, if they ever come with the thought of coming with the 4-year mayor, then they need to change the terms of the council. Because there's absolutely nobody gonna show up for an election that only has council people. We can't get more than 14 to 16,000 people out here now to vote for mayor. All right, after 50 some odd thousand votes for the president, that I want you to all think about. And you have the district commission would have to change their stuff around too, because they have an election every 2 years. So, you know, I'm just saying, so I think leaving it the way it is, I can only think within my lifetime, a one-term mayor. All right. Tommy O'Connor. The only one that was elected 2 years, most of them at least served 4 years, if not
think-
longer.
I think Jenny Cave was it one term?
Jenny, well, I wasn't going that far back. I was
Okay.
a little young then, but. You're right, that Jenny Cave was the other one. I think sure there are a couple before that, because prior to Irving Freeze, it wasn't considered a full-time job. So, I think the system works well. I think the system works for accountability. I see no reason to change the term of office, but if we ever consider or just commission votes to change the term of the mayor, it should rightfully so consider changing the terms of all the other elected officials. So there's not a 2-year cycle, but a 4-year cycle.
Anybody else have thoughts on the 4-year term?
No, I agree with Doug. I think if you do a 4-year for the mayor, the council has to be 4.
Yeah, I think these are all very reasonable points, and I'm, you know, I'm inclined to agree with Ed that this is perhaps something that should be treated on its own. You know, I think we are in the 11th and a half hour of this process, and I don't know that we're going to have time to fully, you know, map out how it might work. So, I mean, if that is the case, I mean, Steve, do we need to? I mean, I'm not going to make a motion. It's not the votes. So, is it something?
Oh, and the council can bring it up because members of the council have talked about it. So they could bring it up when it goes to them and they can come bring it back to you if they want to.
Okay, so I mean, we have it as an action, and do we need to vote if, I mean, no one's going to introduce it?
If no one's introducing it, it's not an act, it's gone. It's just, you're not acting.
There's
on
no
it.
action taken. Okay.
No action.
Okay, so the final thing we had under action items was the interim approval of the draft report for the public hearing. So that is the document, Steve, that was made part of the
That's part of your agenda. That's your
the
agenda.
agenda
document.
packet for this evening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the changes we made tonight.
That's what I was gonna say. We need to
Yeah.
include that we're adding the changes that we'd approved tonight.
The changes are in the document, but you're gonna see it'll go from action item to approved on such and such a date. So there won't be any substantive changes. It'll just have an approval date. That's all.
Okay, Doug has a question.
No, I want to make a motion.
We're gonna make a motion. Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion to remove from the table the minority representation dealing with the at-large candidates. We voted down the ones from the district.
Correct.
And we tabled everything else.
We tabled everything else. So you're making a motion to
Remove from the table.
move from the table.
We voted on.
Okay. To remove from the table to discuss?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor of removing from the table for discussion, minority party representation?
I'm not sure
Doug?
that I understand the question or the motion. I'm sorry.
Yes. So Joe, we had, at a prior meeting, we were presented with the 3 options for minority party representation. We voted no on, I think it was option 2
Correct.
of the 3, and then we tabled the other 2. So Doug is proposing that we untable them so that we can discuss and or vote on those other 2 MPR options.
Okay.
So the motion is made to take MPR off the table, all in favor. John and Doug. All opposed? Any abstentions?
I request a roll call vote, please.
So this is it's the motion to untable MPO. Those in favor are Doug Hempstead, John Levin. Those opposed,
Opposed,
Carl.
Right.
Ed,
Yep, opposed.
Ed, Tyler, and abstentions. Any abstentions?
You're just not voting, John?
Joe, I don't have you for any of the three.
I'm not, because I'm trying to understand what we are voting for.
Oh, sure.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So there was with respect to minority party representation, there were three options proposed. We voted on one of the options. We voted no. With respect to the other two options, we voted to table those, meaning not to discuss them, not to bring them up, not to vote on them. The motion today by Doug is to remove that, to basically bring the two options that we didn't vote on, that we tabled, to bring them back up against, and either have a discussion with respect to those now that they're untabled, if you will, and or vote on them. So basically the issue is, do we want to open up that discussion again, or do we not want to open up that discussion again? And
Okay,
the
my
vote,
vote is for opening up discussion again. How's that?
all
So
right,
if you are a yes, then it's 3 and 3.
and it doesn't pass. It
Sorry,
fails.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, it's okay. It's, I mean, that's fine, but it doesn't pass as a result.
Doesn't pass, motion fails. Two members.
We're missing Jim, Tanya,
And Rick.
and Rick.
Okay,
So it remains on the table.
It's tabled.
that remains tabled. So we're now back to the interim approval of the draft report for the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve the draft report that was made part of this agenda? Approve that draft report for the public hearing, inclusive of the changes that we've approved tonight.
I would make a motion to do that.
Carl's moving that. Okay, all in favor?
A quick discussion. I just have a question. I know that we.
Can we have a
not-
discussion after a motion's been made?
Yes, if it's not a
So the
motion
motion was
table.
made, you were calling for a vote, and I wanted to ask a question.
Sure.
So is there room to make additional changes after this red line version is submitted for the public hearing? The reason I ask is we just had a vote on minority party representation to allow discussion of it, and that motion failed on a split vote, 3-3, and there's 3 members of this commission that are missing tonight who might have made a decision as well. I think this is an important issue. There's a couple things that I think the previous commission had intended this commission to consider. The 4-year terms and minority party representation. I think it would be, we've already voted not to consider 4-year term, but minority party representation is something I'm hoping we still might be able to consider. So I'm asking, if we vote to approve this for the public hearing, this red line version, does that mean that we may not consider minority party representation again in the future? For this commission?
So we're gonna meet on the 27th. So what we're voting on is to make the draft report that's available now available. So we want the people who are attending the public hearing to know what they're talking about, right? So here's what we've proposed. We're gonna include the changes from tonight if it's approved. People will have an opportunity to comment on that, and then at our last meeting, presumably, we can still discuss things, if the public comes out in droves and has an issue with a particular section, whatever, then we can consider that at our final meeting.
Okay, so
And-
there's room for
and-
additional changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And more particularly if members of the public speak on the issues that you've raised, you can certainly vote on them.
Yeah, so we'll have one final meeting,
Okay.
and I don't know at that meeting that will be, you know, if it's anything
Yes.
terribly complicated, we probably won't be able to get it done in
It would be
time.
problematic if you brought up an issue like a monarchy that hasn't been discussed. We want to create a monarchy in the town of,
Right.
in the city of Norwalk, and that's not been an issue that's been discussed at all. But these issues have been discussed, so the public is aware of them. People have testified, public comment. And so even if no one testifies at public hearing, you would be free to raise the issues.
Okay,
Commissioner.
thank you.
Is there any reason at that meeting, and I'm just gonna say, what if 4 people show up at the meeting,
The public hearing,
hearing,
yeah,
we're done with business, that couldn't finalize everything that night?
I guess that's a fair question.
What was the question?
I'm not pushing for it. I'm
So
just
the
asking.
question was, if we have this public, right, so we're voting tonight to approve the draft report. If we hold the public hearing and no one shows up, or people come and just say, hey, great job, Doug's asking, is there any reason we can't just finish that night? And not need to meet on the 27th?
You can, so long as it doesn't look as if you are disregarding any public testimony. So
Yeah, no,
Yep. if you have
Right.
members of the public that speak and you just kind of blithely disregard it, it's not a good look.
But if
people
no
don't
one shows up.
testify, if no one shows up, that's why I suggested earlier before the meeting that we have a business meeting at the end of the public hearing.
Well, I have a note to have that on the agenda.
Yeah, and so if there is no further public testimony or all the testimony is in favor of what you guys have done, you can certainly act that night. And I would put possible action
That's what I was
on
asking.
draft report.
Why is asking that?
So the public knows that that's possible, you will vote
Okay.
that evening. So you should make it clear that there is a possible action on the draft report.
Wasn't trying to expedite, it's just trying to, one last night, if we didn't, if
Well,
nobody's arguing with us.
Especially because we're without a room at the moment for the 27th, so if we were able to wrap it up, then it would save us that issue problem, okay. All right, so, sorry, so those in favor of approving the draft report with the changes? Any opposed? Any abstentions? No, that's 6-0. Look back here, let's try, so we do need to do the minutes. Diane, let's try to do you again here for public participation, if you're still interested, and if we've sorted out whatever the audio issue was. Can we get Diane? Okay, Diane, we have you in the list here,
Her
you're just
mic
muted.
is,
I
her
see her
mic
there.
is now
He's right
is
there.
muted, but now we can hear her.
I cannot hear.
He's
Diane.
muted right now.
I
Yeah,
just heard her.
yeah, it's like it's
Oh,
the
she's
opposite.
gone.
When it said it was muted,
Was that Joe or was that Diane? I think that was
Good to
Joe.
see you.
Diane, are you on?
She's still muted. If
Yeah,
she can
Still
unmute
muted.
herself or someone can unmute her.
Did Jasmine speak?
Is there someone else with their hand?
No, I didn't know. I saw the other people on.
Diane, you're showing up as muted on our end.
Did we put you to sleep?
That's
wonder-
very likely.
I wonder if perhaps she just has the meeting on but stepped away. Diane, I apologize we couldn't get you on here, but please feel free to send us an email and we'll circulate it to everybody and we'd love to hear from you at the public hearing, whether in person or on Zoom, so we can try again, but we'll hear from you one way or another. Okay, so that takes us to the approval of the minutes. We're approving the minutes from both the April 29th and May 5th meetings that were attached to the agenda packet for this year. Is there,
I move to approve those minutes.
collectively,
Yes.
any discussion, any changes about either the April 29th or May 5th minutes?
Nope.
I was on the May 5th minutes. I think Eric we had one in-person public speaker. His last name was spelled incorrectly. I think it was it was missing the V and the I from the beginning of it. I think it's Taglione, I think it's Taglione, I think it's, so it's the, I think, Eric's.
Eric, yeah, Eric, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's VI should be in front of Eric's last name on the May 5th minutes. Any other comments? Corrections to the 429 or the 5-5 minutes? If not, all in favor of approving? Anyone opposed to approving the minutes? No, any abstentions? So we accept both of those 6-0 with the correction to Eric's last name. I believe that was it. For new business, we have our public hearing date. It is going to be here. This was one of our regularly scheduled meetings. It'll be here in the chambers, presumably also on Zoom, as all the rest of these have been, at 6:30. I have in my notes that we will, I'll put an agenda together that includes the business meeting at the end and the possible action language. We did notice this, it's on the city website. And, you know, hopefully we'll hear from as many people as are interested in coming and commenting. So, if there's no other,
The date for that's the 27th,
is the 20th.
the 20th.
The public hearing is May 20th at 6. So this was a regularly scheduled Charter Revision Commission meeting here in the chambers on the 20th at 6:30. I don't believe we've made any changes to that. And then the final meeting, if we need one, is going to be on the 27th. I just have to find a room where we can consider doing it as Zoom only if there's nothing to do other than vote to approve to finalize the draft. Joe?
Will we get a kind of a synthesis of what we are recommending, how we are voting on things?
Yeah, so I am going to, I'm gonna update the kind of preamble that we did last time, the setting the context section that I believe had a summary of the more important things that we had done. I'm not going to include Scrivener's corrections, that kind of thing, but anything that we've changed or moved around, I will put in there. And I would like to make that part of the final report.
And as well, Joe, there will be a transmittal letter that we'll prepare. I don't know if we'll have it for the public hearing, but Tyler will be signing a transmittal letter to the council that lays out the chapter by chapter or article by article revisions. So they'll be pretty clear to see. And when I publish this tomorrow, when I post it tomorrow, I'll run it by, I'll send it out to all of you to look at. It'll be a red line to the current charter. So it's going to be a fairly, it'll look a little bit like a Matisse painting, but we haven't made radical changes, so it should be pretty interesting. And I've been keeping the caption notes pretty clear that show when something was adopted. So as you go through the draft that the public will see, you will see the red lines of the sections we changed with the date that the change occurred. And then you'll see changes that are Scrivener's notes or errata. I did a lot of internal corrections, which I'll continue to do all the way through this process. So you'll see a nice breakdown. I hope you'll see a nice breakdown on how the document looks and what you've done.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve.
Pleasure.
And just for the record, that the public hearing that was set for the 20th has been being properly noticed.
It has
And
been
with
properly.
consultation with the city, the city
Yes.
clerk, et cetera. I just want to make sure the record.
Absolutely. We've
Because I know
consulted
there
that.
could be discussion.
We've consulted with the clerk. We've noticed it properly. So we should be good to go for the 20th. John?
Along those same lines, I'm wondering if we really do want public participation and involvement, then is it possible for the city communications office to put out a press release to the local press simply,
That was the plan. I think they were gonna push it on the the city's social media as well. I will check in with Irene to ensure that that's happening.
so again, I am requesting that there be a press release with the
I
appropriate
can ask,
information.
I can't force them to. I mean,
Of course.
I'll ask them to.
Yep. And that way, the local independent media can report on it if they wish to.
I will do, this is something we had discussed with Irene, who is filling in for
Esther.
Esther, and I will double check that that's happening. She indicated that she was more than happy to do it. I'll
Great.
just see if it's happened yet.
Awesome, thank you.
We're all
All right,
set.
is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
Hi.
thanks, everybody.
All right, see you guys.